All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our first Lunch and Learn of the new year. For those that don't know me, I am Jonathan Porges. I'm your market manager here for the Chamber in Boynton Beach. Happy New Year for those that I have not seen already on a previous Zoom meeting. We are going to kick off this year's series with a great presentation by Jonathan. We're very fortunate to have him today. You guys are in for a real treat. Before we get to Jonathan's presentation, I'd like to turn it over first to Larissa. Larissa is our sponsor today from I Think Financial.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to sponsor again this year for Lunch and Learn. It's awesome turnout and awesome information that we get. Just a little reminder, I Think Financial is your local credit union. We do consumer loans, home loans, business accounts, business loans. We do everything those big banks do, and we do it better, more personal, and we're local and non-for-profit. So if you guys are looking for anything, please reach out to me. We are doing round 2 of PPP. So if you've already gotten your PPP through us, which a lot of you have, make sure you contact me or Neil in Boca for any information. If you're looking to do round 2 and you didn't get round 1, reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you, happy to get you started, happy to get you going with the credit union. Thanks again for joining us, and I'll turn it back over to Jonathan.
Great. Thank you. Let me introduce our speaker today. Jonathan Garber is an award-winning video blogger, national speaker, and children's edutainer. In other words, he's a great storyteller. He brings his experience to local organizations with his latest workshop, Storytelling for Business and Beyond. Jonathan is a storyteller for Flying Chimp Media, an online marketing agency providing compelling websites and SEOs that deliver. A graduate from the British American Drama Academy in Oxford, UK, he combines a background in theater, improv, and business to tell great stories and good clients, helping grow their businesses through passion and creativity. And so with that now, please welcome our speaker, Jonathan.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. I think that's why we have such a great turnout today, is they saw Jonathan and they thought you were the speaker. You know, we get confused a lot. A lot of people confuse Jonathan Porges and me. And, you know, we're similar build, we're similar height. We go places and in Boynton and Boca, and people they're like, "You're that Jonathan." I'm like, "No." And you know, we was like, "Well, which is the short Jonathan?" We're both the short Jonathan. Which is kind of the heavy set. We're both the heavy set Jonathan. And we finally had to agree that we just call Jonathan Porges the good-looking Jonathan. I'm the other Jonathan. So that's how we agreed to separate that, so people could tell us apart. But I want to thank, of course, the Boca Boynton Chamber and the sponsor today, Larissa. Thank you for sponsoring this, all the ambassadors and everybody who's attended. I think this is a great time of year to be talking about this, because when we talk about storytelling, we're also talking about messaging. And if there's anything that people should have been on top of since last January to now, is keeping their message relevant and updated. And people that are not updating their message to talk about, hey, there's an elephant in the room, it's COVID, this is how we're doing business, this is how you can do business with us, these are the precautions we're taking. If you come to do business with us, this is what we're asking you to do. All of that is messaging, right? All of that is storytelling. And if businesses are going to not just survive, but thrive through this difficulty, you really have to be communicating with your audience and your market, and storytelling is that medium. So I'll start with a simple story. In the days before COVID, I have to tell my children that, 2019, I was in Trader Joe's just down the street, and you know, I'm 5'7". I'm not a man of giant stature. I'm used to being in Publix, and if I can't reach something from the top shelf, they don't like me climbing. I usually look around for, you know, that 6 foot something person and go, "Can you get that for me?" And they're used to being asked. But happened to be in Trader Joe's, and I'm looking around, and I notice kind of a couple feet to my right, there's a very small Asian woman, an old woman. She's really looks quite elderly, and she's a little osteoporosis, a little hunched over, and she's looking and staring up at the top shelf, which at Trader Joe's is not that tall. And she's looking, and I'm shopping, doing my thing, and I just keep checking over at her. And I finally say, you know, I'm not used to this. This is weird for me. But I go over to her and I say, do you need help getting that from the shelf? She goes, yes, could you? So I, like a big shot, reach over, pull it down, get it to her. and I walk away. It wasn't until I get to the parking lot, I go, you know, that's pretty interesting. I guess at some point in our lives, we're all tall enough to help somebody else. And that just stuck with me, whether it's a little kid or somebody you just happen to have a few inches over, or someone who might be in a wheelchair and can't reach something. You could always be in a position to help somebody. And I hope that this workshop helps you a little. So storytelling. Let's get into storytelling, shall we? Okay. So what is this? Is this a new thing? Is John coming up with a whole new thing? Jonathan, portions of my slides up? Are they shared correctly?
Yeah, you're good.
You're good.
Good, great, thank you.
Yep.
Good, thank you, because it stopped doing the green line. Okay. So look, whether this is ancient cave drawings or hieroglyphics, which we can translate now, or even Renaissance paintings, or how about folk songs? What do they all have in common? What is the one thing that they're really trying to do? It's storytelling, right? All of these things are an attempt of somebody to pass a story on to someone else, probably another generation. I'll give bonus points if anyone knows who's in the lower right-hand corner. I'll test your age. Roz is sitting on her hands going, it's not me. I'm not old enough to know what they are. Okay. Come on, it's Bob Dylan and Joan Baez. But okay. But, you know, think about the power of storytelling. In the 1960s, they encountered what they call a pre-Columbian tribe in South America. And in documenting their oral history, and that's all they have, an oral history, they talked about the time that their ancestors wore the skins of animals and crossed the frozen place. Now, it doesn't snow where they live. They don't get frozen places there. And it took anthropologists a while to figure out that they were talking about when Asians crossed the Bering Strait and made their way down all the way to South America, that this tribe had passed on an oral story about their ancestors uninterrupted for 40,000 years. Right? That's the power of storytelling. It puts that in a really interesting context. But we're talking about storytelling for business. When do we tell stories in business? Well, all the time, right? All the time. When we're networking with people, if we're at a chamber event, we're swapping stories with people about what we're doing, and asking questions about what they do and what have we done lately and what may be an award we got, some accomplishment, whatever it is you want to tell. You're telling stories with people, whether you're networking, if you're selling and putting together proposals. I have to have a couple proposals over there, or certainly in your marketing, which is normally where I live, in your marketing, in your brochure, on a website, in an email you might send out. All of that is storytelling. But where I want you to pivot is to think about, who is your story really about? Is the story about you, or is it really about your audience? Now keep that in mind, because we're going to unpack that. What is storytelling when we're talking about business? Well, we should be talking about two things: creating a unique selling proposition, and then connecting with your audience. So when we say a unique selling proposition as a story, we mean, how do you do something, or how do you solve pain in a way that's unique from your competition? And we all have competition. You got that? How do you solve pain uniquely? The connecting part is explaining what impact you solving that pain would have on your audience. Follow me? Give me a thumbs up if you all follow me, because I'm used to speaking to in front of a live crowd. Thank you so much. All right. So here's my top 3. I'm going to write to my top 3 stories for storytelling for marketing. Ready? Take a screenshot if you need to. This is good stuff. The first rule is it's not about you. The story is actually not about you. This is a very hard pivot for us to get clients to make when we stop talking about them, which they like to do. The second rule is it is about pain. It's about pain and the pain that you solve. And my third rule for storytelling for marketing is start with why. You with me? Let's unpack that a little bit more, okay? Let me set a ground rule here because you're going to hear 2 different words and I want to make sure we're very clear on them. One is communicating and the other one is connecting. And a lot of people think it's the same. And I'm going to show you it's not the same. Communicating and connecting are 2 completely different things. So let me break that down for you. Communicating is sharing information. Who, what, where, when. What time is the reservation? When does the plane leave? Where are we having dinner? What would you like me to order for you, right? In business, how much does that cost? What are your services? What are your benefits? What are your features? How much does it cost? How much does a membership cost, right? Information. I could convey information just about anywhere. I could literally stick it on a piece of paper. I could throw it on a website as a chart. It's a menu you can click and order. And I'm just sharing information. Now, communicating information has its place and it's valuable. But through this workshop, I'm trying to get you somewhere else. I'm trying to get you to connecting. And connecting is sharing ideas. Connecting is sharing emotions. So if you remember communicating who, what, where, when, how much, connecting is why. Why are we talking? Why are you here? What pain are you seeking to solve? What is the impact of your pain right now? What would be the impact if I solve that pain? What's my passion? What's your passion? What are our shared interests, right? Some of you like to golf. Some of you are into boating. We're in South Florida. I'm into the outdoors and I'm a scout leader. So if we start getting into scouting, we talk about that. I'm a huge fan of dogs and I love dogs. So if that's a shared interest, we're immediately connecting, not communicating, right? People do business with people they like. And so finding out your why, their pain, their impact, your passions, their passions, and your shared interest is really important. Figuring out how their status quo today is actually affecting not just their organization, but them personally. Get to the personal. And of course, how will change impact you personally? And so when people talk about how to change impact you and they say, well, my company bottom line, I'm going, no, I didn't ask that. That was obvious, right? If I solve a business problem, sometimes the benefit is obvious, but how would it affect them personally? Would they gain an extra half a day a week? Oftentimes that's really what you can help people with is they can gain half a day to a full day, a week, a month, whatever it is. Then ask them, what would you do with that time? Well, I'd take a long weekend with my family. Okay. I'd go out golfing. Okay. What's the value of golfing? I invite prospects. I invite clients. It could have business value. So all of a sudden, the impact of your USP, your unique selling proposition, how you solve pain, and the fact that you've established yourself as someone who's concerned about pain and solving pain, not selling, is just amazing. When people see you as someone who helps and not sells, there's a huge change immediately in their tone and their posture and everything. Y'all see that? Give me a thumbs up if you're with me. Michelle's with me. Roz is with me. Good. Thank you. So now I'm going to go back to those rules and break them down. Remember, my first rule was, it's not about you, right? So language wise, I want you to look for language that is I, me, we. I'll do this for you. I went to this school. Me did this. Me won that. We have 1,000 degrees. We have this, and we have a state of the art. If you replace the I, me, we language with you, us, together, all of a sudden we're drawing the audience into the story where they belong, because the story can't be about you. Great storytelling, whether it's a great movie or a play or a book, it works when you see yourself reflected in the story. Why is probably I guess the best-selling children's book ever Harry Potter? Why do you suppose that is? Because millions or tens of millions, I don't know how many books were sold, but tens of millions of kids didn't just find the story interesting, they imagined themselves in a story like that. They could imagine themselves with special powers, being special, being different. And because they related to that, the book was insanely popular. So what we want to do by working with you, us, together we will solve this problem, is we're pivoting the story from one of value to working together to solve pain. Rule 2, excuse me. This story is about pain. People who can solve problems are always the most valuable people in a room, right? When you pivot, and I did a video blog on this that really went kind of viral, when you change in your kind of commercials, networking commercials, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, whatever you have, if you change the one word, I want to meet, to I want to help, fill in the blank of who your target audience is, the perception of you changes radically. It goes from someone who's looking to sell something to someone who's looking to help. So it's very important in the story that you make clear the pain you solve. And they're out there looking for someone to solve their pain. That's why they're looking at your marketing. They're looking at your proposal. They're looking at your website or a billboard or a piece of branded promotional products, right? There's some people on this call who do promotional products. The story on the smallest little promotional product has to be a reminder of the pain that you solve. Does that make sense? All right. This is the big one. This is the biggest rule that I can tell you about, because we're big Simon Sinek fans here. And that rule is start with why, right? Why do you do what you do? Why are you helping businesses in banking? Why are you helping people with wealth management? Why are you practicing law? Why are you passionate about what you do, right? When did you decide to dedicate yourself to serving people in this way, right? And who are you in the community living this passion? That means when I do a website for somebody and we get to their story, I like to take all the stuff that they think is the about us. They think the about us is, I went to the University of Florida and I graduated in this year, or I was admitted to the bar in this year, and then I live here and I moved in, and I received this award and I received that award and I'm in the who's who of who you know, and like that's what they think defines them. What really defines them is, I'm a family person with 2 kids and my second rescue dog, and I'm involved in the community and scouting and making leaders of tomorrow. And people are like, oh, that's who he is. That's his why. His why isn't, got news for you. I graduated college, I think 1989. Who cares? I mean, who cares if I went to college? My work speaks for itself, but who cares where I went? Who cares when? I do a lot of these in front of lawyers, and I right away I ask them, how many of you went to law school? They all raise their hands. How many of you passed the Florida bar? They all raise their hands. I go, right. It's kind of table stakes to be a lawyer in Florida that you A, went to law school, and B, passed the Florida bar. So what separated you from anybody? Nothing. When you have that precious time of a few seconds to catch someone's attention in marketing, in business, you better use it wisely. You better tell people why you are what you do, why you solve the pain that you solve. What is your passion? All this other resume stuff, unless they're looking to hire you, they don't care. You're communicating, not connecting. Connecting would be sharing an idea, passion, or emotion. Communicating is who, what, where, when. I graduated from here. I used to live in Cleveland, and now I went to California, and now I live here, and go like, who cares? Talk to me about how you solve my pain. Does that make sense to everybody? It's rough because you're used to doing the other. You're really used to saying, I did this, I, me, we. Instead of saying, I spend my day doing this for people like you. I solve pain together with you. And after hours, I'm passionate about this. Conservation, saving turtles, whatever, rescuing cats and dogs, whatever it is. You'll find somebody who will connect you on that as well. Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense for you. Good. Thank you, Michelle. Michelle is my barometer for everything on this in this call. Without Michelle Jackson, I really would be lost. Remember, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So here's just a couple of examples that I pulled from websites we've done. It's about their loss, right? It's about your justice. If I zoom in, like here's a really great example, and I've got to zoom in on this. Look at the language. This is a lawyer, it was a client of ours. You, health, your, you, we communicate with you, right? You are advised and feel comfortable every step of the way. This is a doozy. This is a fellow up in Boca area, Cutler-Rader, right? It's your life. You're angry. You're scared. We protect you. Our job, make sure you get the justice you deserve, right? You're our only case. Every single client, our son or daughter, right? Boom, boom, boom. We wrote this. Why? How do we write it? We took most of the I, me, we's we could get rid of and put you, us together. It's just pretty much applying a hard rule. And this is a very similar thing, right? Do we love what we do? The answer is always a resounding yes. This case is more than dollars and cents. This case is somebody's life, right? So we put stakes on this. We're here to help the little guy, right? All this language is putting the viewer front and center. So let me give you an example. I have an 11-year-old son. I have a 16-year-old daughter, but I have an 11-year-old son. My son, when he was born, somebody sent him a book, one of these personalized children's books that's got their name in it. And this is the whole thing about how animals chose the letters for his name and whatever. It's got a lot of animals. He loves animals. To this day, he's 11 now. He will go to a bookshelf, pull it down, and look through it sometimes and laugh and go, look at the giraffe and look at the thing. Da, 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 da. And at some point cleaning up the house, I found a book that I had when I was a child, way back in the mid 20th century. And it was a personalized book that had my name. And Jonathan Porges will tell you, there ain't a whole lot of books where you find Jonathan. You don't go where they have little personalized license plates at the gift shop and or keychains, and you pick out the one that says Jonathan. They don't exist ever, right? So this is a personalized book that had my name in it. Well, I found this book and I sat on the couch and I read it to my kids, and we were rolling on the floor, just rolling on the floor. So why does a kid who's pretty much as honest as you get, why does a kid still get excited, even though they're too old for the book, when they get a story that's got them in it? Because it's a natural human emotion. We're looking for a story that reflects our condition, that we're a part of. A story that we have no connection to doesn't resonate with us. We don't remember it. We don't retell it. Nothing. Does that make sense? Where's Michelle? Michelle left. Oh no, Michelle, give me my reassuring thumbs up. Thank you. I got 2 thumbs up on that. Thank you very much. That's the value of making sure that your story is about your reader and not yourself. And that's a big sea change. That's a big pivot in thought for you guys to think about. So starting with why, let me break down a story a little bit. Remember we said, Simon Sinek, people buy why you do something, not what you do. Because remember, on the what side, lots of people do what you do. Lots of people do what you do. Every one of us has competition. So here's a diagram of a story, right? We have 3 major elements of a story in business. We got a what, we got a how, we got a why. Most people will tell the story from the outside in. You get to my website, this is what we do. Sometimes they think they're excited to tell you how they do it. I got news for you. If you're solving pain, most people don't care how you do it. You follow that? If this story were about you solving my pain, I say, I don't care. Just take it away. How you do it's irrelevant. My question is, can I afford it later? Or does insurance cover it? Great. Do you have good reviews, testimonials? Good, right? That's market validation. Oh, I just got a pop-up telling me that it's the Boca Boynton Beach Lunch and Learn right now. Okay, thanks, computer. And there's another one, thanks. That's my erstwhile Dell computer telling me that my appointment started. So you follow that? The what, again, if they got on your website and they got their marketing, they're probably pretty clear on what you do. The how, they don't care and it's none of their business, that's secret sauce. But then you get to that last thing, the why. So what I'm suggesting you do is flip it upside down. Start with the why. We are dedicated to solving your fill in the blank pain. Our passion is serving your needs. For over 3 decades, we've been helping people like you get this. Oh, okay. That's a why. Why are you there? We're hometown heroes. We believe South Florida deserves something. We think Boca Raton is the best place on earth. And so we start with why. Now, when you look at this diagram, you notice buried deep in the core is that why. So let me ask you something. If I had diamonds, I wanted to find diamonds or gold or platinum, where do I find it? Is it sitting around on the surface? Can I go out here, push aside the guy with the leaf blower who seems to be constantly outside my window and find diamonds or gold or platinum? Is it sitting in the first 6 inches of soil if I took a shovel and I just pushed the dirt around? No. Diamonds are buried deep, deep inside, deep in the core. And that's what I think your why is. Your why is the diamond that's buried in here. And I want you to lead with your diamond. I want you to tell this story inside out. I want you to start with your why and your passion. Your how could be your unique selling proposition, right? That's the how we uniquely solve pain. And the what is, well, obviously you knew why you came to my website. We're about solving your pain, but we're passionate about uniquely solving your pain. You see how we can step from the inside out. Does that make sense? Michelle, give me that reaffirming thumbs up. Okay, good. Thank you. So here's a great example. I'm only going to take one of these. I've got several, but I'm going to give you one example. Who remembers or ever heard of something called the Microsoft Zune? You'd have to be fairly old to have heard of the Microsoft Zune. How many of you remember the Apple iPod? Raise your hand if you've seen the, sure, you remember Apple iPod. Well, here's the funny thing. They both came out at about the exact same time. And there was nothing technically magical about a music playing device. The technology was not like you were going to get to Mars in a day, or, you know, like it was a super breakthrough. It was a flash drive that you put MP3 files on and headphones and an interface. And it was like, okay. Microsoft came out with one and Apple came out with one. And shortly thereafter, Microsoft was never heard from again. Why? What is Microsoft? What were they known for? They're an operating system. There's some business software. So there's Microsoft at that time would have been Windows 95, I think. I'm looking, these kids aren't young enough to know, old enough to know. About maybe Windows 95 if you were lucky, and Microsoft Office, right? What was Apple? Apple was a lifestyle brand. They were about selling not software, not just hardware, but a whole Apple lifestyle, integrated products that talk to each other, that worked the way you wanted to work, right? They put you right in the story. Look at their commercials. The commercials were all about you. They were you and your lifestyle and how you wanted to live. Microsoft's were about, this is what we do, this is how we are, this is our MP3 player, like it or leave it. Guess what? People left it. And it is on the trash heap of history. That's the difference in the storytelling. Apple did a fabulous job of telling a story that put the reader, the viewer, the audience, their commercials, right in the story, in the lifestyle story. And Microsoft said, we are technically competent of doing this thing that you seek. And so they got shoved back in a box. And that has happened with Microsoft over and over again. They came out with a phone. Who remembers the Microsoft cell phone? Like that made it months, barely, not even 6 months. Released right off the end. Then they came out with a Microsoft phone operating system. Nobody could see it. Nobody could make that leap. Now they're doing pretty well with the Surface tablet because they geared it towards their core user, business people, because that's the story they told and they just gave up. Okay? So I want to leave some time for questions. I'm not going to give you some other examples of failures to tell a story because that's really what this list is about. Let me share with you an example of how I'm going to take you from the inside of my story to the outside, okay? My why here at Flying Chimp Media is driving your success through creativity and passion. The how is through great storytelling and then bringing an audience to come hear that story. Now I get to the what. Yeah, we do award-winning website. Sure. We do SEO that works. Yep. We do the online marketing. We do compelling videos, print advertising for those of you who still like the printed word. I do. Listings and review management and creative consulting. See, but I got to the what after I hooked you with your success through creativity and passion. You follow that? So then when I turn that inwards, what's John Garber's why? Why is because I am committed to improving my community and my children. My how is by volunteering as a scout leader for 6 years. The what is I'm providing award-winning leadership in the world's oldest and largest youth leadership and life skills training program. Okay, that's a personal why, how, what. You follow that? So if I told you that in a networking thing in 5 seconds, you'd be like, got it, cool, I'm in, or I'm not. But I appreciate your passion, moving on. Like, that's okay too. Remember, you'd like to qualify people in or out as quickly as possible. And that's one of the reasons why starting with your passion and your why is very valuable, because you're not right for everybody and they're not right for you. And if you don't share some values, if you don't connect with them, it's going to be very hard to have them as a client long term, unless you're just in a transactional business. You follow that? I mean, you see what I'm saying? How the storytelling, your ability to wear your story on your sleeve, helps qualify people as to whether they want to work with you and you want to work with them. Because if they don't dig your values and they don't dig your passion, they don't dig your why, they're not going to dig you. And beyond one transaction, you may have nothing there. Food for thought on that. Okay. I will remind you, I love this quote. Nobody cares what you know until they know that you care. And when you share your passion, your values, your why up front, you'll know whether you'll let them know that you care, and you're going to find out if that resonates for them or not. And if it's okay, Jonathan and Larissa, I would love to take any questions.
Perfect. So we'll go back to the, if
You want
wanna
me to
stop
unshare?
sharing. Yeah, we'll go back to there you go. So anybody that has a question, please feel free to unmute yourself, and we'll go from there. Anybody?
Sure, I'll jump in, Jonathan.
Oh, hi, Megan.
Hey.
Oh, hey,
my
Megan,
name's
I met you
Megan.
before.
Yes, it's good to see
Yeah,
you again,
you were at
Jonathan.
the children's service.
Yes.
Yes. We met at a Boynton event. Yeah.
We did. Thank you. Great memory. So I really enjoyed your presentation because storytelling, especially for our organization, is key. But what is the best medium? Is it like a blog? Is that just like social media posts broken up? Is that like a video, like a narrative? I'm struggling with, I've got everything that you
What
said,
a great question.
but how do I use it?
This is Megan, a very good question. Always work backwards from your audience. Okay. In other words, storytelling and storytelling for marketing is kind of like fishing, something that I have no success at ever. But fishing, I have to figure out what fish do I want to catch, where do they live, and what bait do they like.
Okay.
So there are some people that we still do print work for, which I love to do because we create something that you physically hold. I mean, most of our stuff is digital and online, but we do print work. And I love that because they feel their clientele wants something that goes thud when you leave it on the table. And when they walk away, it continues to tell a story later, and that they could share that story with someone else. Who's coming in behind me? Is this the mail? No, that was someone leaving. Okay, sometimes the mailman comes in, and sometimes I have my dog here who barks at the mail. So you've got to know who you're trying to reach and what pond you'll find them in to go fishing in. I would say that it's 2021. So if we don't have a complete website that effectively conveys your story, your passion, your mission, then you're failing. I mean, I still run into people that really have no website, and it's 2021. I could have said the same thing like 5 years ago and said, how in 2017, how in 2015 did you have no website? But it's 2021. So Megan, you've got to have a great website that conveys this. Things like blogs or videos or video blogs reinforce what's already there. They typically don't tell that story. They tell one little corner. They convey some what we call subject matter expertise. That's a great place for videos and blogs. Most blogs, written blogs, just don't get read at all. So they're mostly keyword salad for SEO, but videos will. Videos get shared. We're in a TikTok world, right? We're in a TikTok world. So short videos that convey one idea that you can connect with someone on is winning. Much longer than that, you're losing. Does that answer your question?
It did, absolutely.
And if you want to talk offline, feel free to reach out to me. I would love to get together with you, drink coffee. I drink a lot of coffee. Okay, thanks, Megan. Anyone else? That was awesome.
Hey, Jonathan, Bill Miller here. Hi, nice to see you.
Hey, Bill, how are you? Yeah, good to see you again. We met before.
Yes, we have. Just excellent presentation. It resonated. Everything you said resonated very much in the importance of the why. I wanted to ask you just more of a personal question. So in the last year, how has COVID really impacted your business, and what have clients that have come to you that maybe have changed the way they're approaching their businesses? How have you found that to be?
Great. What a great question. So Our business is actually up over the same. So our 2019 business is up over 2018. We expanded and grew during 2019. Not to be cynical for people that who's went out of business, but we positioned ourselves to help people. And we said clearly, we are here to help you thrive during adversity. So we showed them how back in March, when they started the lockdown, the next day we called every one of our clients and asked them if we could add a pop-up that said, we're now taking appointments over Zoom or Teams or whatever they wanted to use, right? Because our clients said, we have to keep billing. I can't pack up shop for an unknown amount of time. So we pivoted all of our clients to an online distant relationship. We then put the word out to people who need to convert brick and mortar into online. We can set up an e-commerce site for you so that you can sell the widgets you had online, or you could sell your time and services online and deliver them virtually or one-on-one instead of in group settings. So helping people convert from brick and mortar to e-commerce economically and efficiently was also a value, a pain that we solved. Helping people and telling them that they've got to update their message to reflect reality. Marketing, messaging, storytelling is not one and done. Whatever was going on 5 years ago, I mean, my God, look at how much change you see in your business. Look how much change you see in a market from day to day, hour to hour, let alone year to year, right? The only constant in business is what? Change. So if people are not constantly updating their message to say, hey, my head is not in the sand, but I'm current, I'm relevant, this is my message to you today. And that's what we help people do. Is stay current, fresh, updated, talk about COVID realities, put it right out there and say, we're open, we ask that you have to wear a mask, we're now delivering everything curbside, whatever it was. If you're not updating it, and I went to your website, I would just go, they're dead, they're out of business. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thanks.
We went remote and we started doing a lot of video blogging. That was the other thing we did. We started interviewing people. And interviewing is a wonderful, wonderful way to highlight other people's subject matter expertise along with your own and hijack their distribution list to get your brand out there. As a little insider tip for those on this call.
Do we have any other questions for Jonathan?
Great questions. Thank you so much.
Jonathan with the more hair.
Hey, Jonathan.
Says handsome Johnny.
Yes,
Can I jump in here?
sure.
Sure, Craig.
How are you? So I will come clean that I am a client of Flying Chimp and Jonathan and Jeff's. But to me, I'm curious what it is to really dig into of really understanding the pain that you're trying to solve and really trying to get at how it is that you can zoom in and really target what it is you're trying to solve by and understand the problem. What do you guys do to really, from business to business to dig into what it is people are trying to accomplish with what they're trying to do? Because it's not always so simple. It's not always just, well, I want more clients. Everyone wants more clients.
Right. Everyone wants more clients. Right. But when people shift mentality, it's a very deep question, because we have to wrestle with clients. We have to create a bit of struggle to get people to get in touch with their own value, because the old model, a traditional model, is I sell stuff. I sell financial services. I sell legal services. I sell widgets. And when we start the process, we always have a kickoff meeting that's an hour and a half to 2 hours long, where it's part marketeer and part therapist, because we have to pull out of them, why did you decide to do what you do? Why? Who are you helping? I help these. How do you help them? And when we unpack their story, in a way that they have never confronted their own business model, we're able to put our finger on the why they should be doing what they're doing. And then our job is to tell it in a way that's engaging, right? And compelling, a little dramatic, and then figure out that qualified audience. How do we reach that qualified audience? What Megan asked, how do we get that pond? And that's where we advertise in. But it's a process for us, like I said, that's 50% marketing and 50% psychology of asking questions and being okay, being comfortable, Craig, with long, uncomfortable pauses. Because if you ask a question, never throw a lifeline. If you ask a question, just sit there and wait and wait and wait. Because the next thing to come out of their mouth is the truth. And that's what we have to get to. All of this presentation that I'm telling you is not some sales training trickery. It's about you being honest with your market and asking them to be honest about sharing their pain, right? There's an old joke. You know, how many psychiatrists it takes to change a light bulb? First the bulb has to want to change, right? Your audience has to want to solve their pain, and you have to be 100% committed and plugged into what their pain is and your commitment to solve it. I was doing a workshop for a mixed group, but there was a lot of lawyers in the room. And I picked on one guy who I agreed with, the editor. And I said, hey, did you go to this law school? He goes, yep, because it was on his website. Did you do that? Did you get this award? Did you graduate cum laude or sumo something, whatever? Nobody cares, all, years ago. I said, when did you decide to practice law? When? He thinks about it. He goes, I was 7 years old, sitting on the couch with my father, watching To Kill a Mockingbird. And I sat back and turned to my dad and said, I want to be like him. I want to defend people and fight for them. Everybody in the audience was silent, half of which were lawyers. Nobody could remember where he went to school or cared, but everybody walked out of that room, Craig, remembering exactly when in his life he decided to dedicate his life to law and protecting and fighting for people. And he's not, he's not, I won't mention names of some high profile lawyers in the area, you know who they are, the big marquee lawyers, where he drives a Bentley and blah, blah, blah. He's not, he never did. He does okay, but he commits himself to fighting the kind of for David against Goliath. Everybody left that room being able to tell his story because I pushed him to tell me why. Does that resonate with you? Does that resonate with people on the call? Thanks. Does that make sense to you guys?
Thanks. We have a
You
question.
have to have a little bit of guts to bare your soul on that and put it out there. Run it up the flag, people. Some people will salute your flag. Some people will walk on by. Some people will try and burn it. Oh, well, that'll tell you who's going to be your client, who won't be. Anyone else,
Suzanne has a
Jonathan?
question. Yeah, Suzanne has a question.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Hi, Jonathan.
Excellent.
Susan Samico.
Hi, Suzanne.
Susan. Why did you decide to do what you do was one question. What were the other two when you were giving Craig an example?
So the questions that you would ask is when, why? So what was the moment you decided that moment, and what is it? It's just a question of why that? Why that? When and why that thing? I'm an actor and a storyteller. So for me, being in a creative space is great. I write stories, I do videos, okay, great. I never made it big in Hollywood, but I live in Hollywood. What can I tell you? So that's really it, is putting in touch with, what do you do, Susan, may I ask?
I'm a coach. I'm a certified coach.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you help people, right? You help people. You have dedicated your career and adult life to helping people. I would ask you, when did you decide to do that? And what's the most rewarding thing you can see in a client after working with them for a while? What's the most rewarding thing? And if you say that, the most rewarding thing that I experience with a client is this. When they tell me, you know, I've had clients who say, I called my parents and I haven't spoke to them in 30 years. Or, you know, you could have a lot of things that I have people say that working here is the best experience they've had in their life, or customers who say, wow, I've noticed a big change in your company. If you're a business coach or personal coach, I don't know what kind of coach you are. So if you would look at that and share that inner moment and say, that's what keeps me going. And you could even say, what keeps me going is rescuing dogs, helping children, helping people live their best lives, be their best selves, helping organizations function in a way that they're productive and feel good about their lives. Let's face it, we spend most of our waking hours at work. So the most rewarding thing for me is a business where people love to show up every Monday and don't dread it. Okay, fine. If you believe it, say it. Because if people don't like it, they're not going to do business with you. So you might as well put it out there. Get it out of the way now.
Right.
Have you all ever, thank you, Susan. Have you ever spent a ton of time qualifying a client? You have like one meeting and then another meeting, then another meeting. I got news for you. After 2 meetings, they're never going to be your client because they have a paralysis by analysis. They're looking for a way to say no. Okay. The more you put yourself and the way you want to do business up front, the clearer it's going to be to both sides, whether you're a fit or not. And you're not a fit for everybody. And they're not a fit for you. It's okay. You ever hear of SW? Susan, you're a coach. You ever hear of SW to the third?
SW to the third, no.
Right.
Oh, I was just
Right. Some will, some won't.
Yeah.
Right. Some will, some won't. So what? Next. Some will, some won't. So what? Next. If they don't like your passion and reason for being in that business, excuse me, F them. They're never going to do business with you. Stop talking to them. You could be talking to somebody else that will be your next client for a decade.
Right.
Think about the lost opportunity of talking to someone completely unqualified. Think about the lost opportunity.
Great
That changes your perspective on that a little, doesn't it?
All right, well, we're at the hour mark.
Outstanding.
so-
Anybody else? Yeah, we're at the hour mark. So
Where's
great
our
questions. Wonderful engagement. Thank you so much.
Jonathan, thank you for being our first speaker this month for the 2021 year. I think it was great to have you. You did a great presentation. For those of you that are just joined us,
Great.
for
Thank
your
you for
first
having me.
today, we have our Lunch and Learn program the second Wednesday of every month. So feel free to join us on our next one. Jonathan, thank you again. Larissa, thank you from I Think Financial. Everybody have a great day.